Hey, happy Thursday morning to you, everyone. Welcome back to Morning Musings. My name is Don K. Preston. I am the president of Preterist Research Institute of Ardmore, Oklahoma. Hey, I hope that you'll take the opportunity to go to my websites, donkpreston.com or BibleProphecy.com. Also, do not forget, I personally forget this, and it's absolutely horrible. You need to check out www.privideos.com. All of my videos, all of my YouTube videos are gathered, and they are organized by subject and theme on privideos.com. My great appreciation to Alan Morton for doing that, setting up the site, getting it organized. It's a beautiful site, by the way. So, if you want to look at, I have people ask me all the time, well, have you done a video on this? Have you done a video on that? So go to privideos.com and you can do a search there in that database through all of my videos, which, by the way, is over 1,000 of them now. Woo! Okay, privideos.com. All right. Paul said in 1 Corinthians chapter 15 that the resurrection would be at the end. We are given full assurance by the commentators and by preachers virtually every single Sunday that the end of 1 Corinthians 15 has to be the end of time. June 15th and 16th, 2017, I will be debating Dr. David Hester in a second debate. He will affirm that the resurrection of the just and the unjust is yet future and will occur at the end of time. Now, we've already had one debate on this proposition. Dr. David Hester never gave one single passage that said anything whatsoever about the end of time. Not one. He got up and said, well, John 6 talks about the last day. And he assumed, presumptively, without any evidence whatsoever, just simply making the claim, that has to be the last day of time. He gave no proof. Now, we'll be examining John 6:39 and following in a later video. But for now, I want to pick up on our previous video about 1 Corinthians chapter 15, very obviously being about the harvest. After all, Christ was the first fruit, and then afterwards, those who are His at His coming. And it's probably Christ, the first fruit of the first fruit, and then the first fruit of the resurrection, and then the harvest. But anyway, the point of fact is, Paul is using harvest imagery. There is no doubt about it. I shared with you that John said Christ's winnowing fork was already in his hand. Folks, we cannot deny the language of imminence there. When people seek to diffuse and to deny the language of imminence, they are denying the language of harvest. Now watch this. Here is John, who said that Jesus' winnowing fork was already in his hand. He would gather the wheat into the barn, burn up the chaff. Well, in Matthew chapter 13, Jesus told the parable of the sower who went out and sowed the seed. The enemy sowed the seed of the tares. The servant said, should we gather up the tares? And the master said, no, let them grow together until the time of the harvest. And Jesus explained that parable. Now, I want you to notice something that is very important about this. As Jesus explained fully this parable to His disciples, pardon me, He said, Matthew 13:39 and following, the enemy who sowed them, that is the tares, is the devil. The harvest is at the end of the age. Now, he uses a very distinctive Greek term here. More about that later. Pardon me. But this end of the age time of the harvest is the end of the age, time of the harvest of 1 Corinthians 15, and it absolutely cannot refer to the end of time. More on that later. Okay, therefore, as the tares are gathered and burned in the fire, what did John say? His winnowing fork is already in his hand. The wheat shall be gathered into the barn, the tares shall be burned up. Therefore, Matthew 13, as the tares are gathered and burned in the fire. Now watch this. So it shall be at the end of this age. That's the New King James. I understand some translations do not say this age. However, there is good, strong manuscript evidence for this age. Now, consider this, please, very quickly. Jesus said harvest is at the end of this age. What age was Jesus living in? Well, let's face it, folks. He wasn't living in the Christian age. Those who claim that the law of Moses and thus the Mosaic age died at the cross have to deal with this text. Jesus was not talking about the end of the Christian age. He was not living in the Christian age. He did not say harvest will be at the end of the age to come, which the age to come would follow the Mosaic age. There is nothing, pardon me, there is nothing about this text and Jesus' prediction that speaks of the end of the Christian age or that speaks of the end of time. It is the end of the age in which Jesus was living. And that was no other age than the Old Covenant Mosaic age. When we accept the manuscript evidence, when we accept, well, here's the New King James translation. When we accept Jesus' affirmation that the harvest was to be at the end of the age in which he was living when he made this prediction, then the absolutely undeniable fact is that he was living in the Mosaic age, saying harvest will be at the end of the Mosaic age. Now, some people may want to quibble about the manuscript evidence, about the translational evidence. That's okay, because there's plenty more evidence to show that Jesus was in fact predicting the harvest at the end of the Mosaic age, not at the end of time, not at the end of the Christian age. All of this evidence goes together, as that we have already seen in Matthew chapter 3. All of that evidence points us to the end of the Mosaic age, not the end of time, not the end of the endless Christian age. Folks, I've already proven to you the Christian age has no end. How could Jesus be predicting harvest at the end of the endless Christian age? It doesn't work. So when Paul said, then comes the end, the time of the harvest, he was unequivocally, as we shall prove even more in later videos, he was unequivocally affirming that the harvest would be at the end of the Old Covenant age of Israel, and that was in AD 70. If you want more on the harvest and a really good discussion, get my book, Who is This Babylon? One of the studies you will see is a comparison between Matthew 13, Revelation 14, which I will share with you later. In the meantime, go to my website, donkpreston.com, bibleprophecy.com, order the book, send me a note saying that you saw the offer on YouTube or Facebook, and I'll refund your shipping. Well, here we are Thursday. Thank you so very, very much for joining me. Hope you have an absolutely fantastic weekend. Lord willing, we'll see you on Monday.